Hi, I'm back again to share another poem with you. I am aiming to address through my poetry the toxic drug crisis. But as I've explained before, I have poems of all different kinds of topics. And so I'm trying to weave things together in a way that makes sense. And that can be tricky sometimes. So I've kind of created another track here that I've mentioned. I'm going to kind of sometimes talk specifically about the drug crisis. Sometimes I'm going to speak about healing. And I think those things are interrelated. So I'm back again to speak about healing, about my own healing journey. And so the last poem I shared was called What You Birthed in Me. And it was talking about how I was sharing how when I became a mother was really when my healing journey took flight and got very intense and intentional and became very important work to do. Yeah, so I have lots of stories to share because I've been a mom for 16 years now. So I'm going to try to tell bits and pieces of my story so that you can sort of piece them together. The poem I'd like to share now is called I Kissed You Today. This is a poem about my mom and I. So when I became a mom, that's when I began to really realize as I held my precious newborn son and then my second son, same thing, held them in my arms. And as a mother, I loved so intensely, and I I envisioned the very best. I wanted the best for this child of mine. I wanted the best future for them. And in life, and when I realized what it was I wanted for my children, I realized that I had some work to do because I wasn't going to be able to give them the very best if I did not go back and start to do some of my own healing work. Especially in the beginning, it was clear to me I needed to do, sorry, my voice is going funny. That's not cool when I'm filming. Hopefully we clear that out before I do my poem. So, yeah, it became clear to me that I needed to start by addressing my relationship with my mother. We had a tough past together, a lot of pain and woundedness, and it hadn't gone very well in many ways. And so I knew that I needed to begin to heal with my mom. And so it began this story that is still unfolding between my mom and I that is just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. As I've showed up to heal, she has showed up and said yes as well. And she is doing her own healing. I'm doing my own healing. And at times we're doing our healing together. And it's just been beautiful. It is not easy. It is hard, it's painful, and it's still unfolding. But I just want to share this poem because I think that when it comes to people who are using drugs, which, by the way, I don't know if I've already said this or not, but when we talk about people who are using drugs, really, if you investigate, most people are using drugs. I'm using drugs. I use caffeine and I use Advil and I use prescribed medications and I use probably other drugs that I just can't come off the top of my head right now. I drink some alcohol sometimes. So do you use drugs? So, just in terms of language, right? People who use drugs. But what I'm talking about, and I think you understand this, is people who are using drugs in much more of a problematic and troublesome way. But not to say we all use drugs, most of us. Anyways, but when people who use drugs and struggle with their relationship with drugs, and that relationship becomes impeding to their life, I think there's a lot of trauma there. Underneath, there's trauma. And I think that there is familial and generational trauma and curses at play. And And so, yeah, this is why I'm speaking about this, and then just sharing my own story. So this is a story from many years ago. My mom and I became a mother, and she wanted to be a grandma, and now she is just beloved. My kids call her Nama. And so we began kind of leaning in together. And it's been, like I say, beautiful and wonderful. But there was this one moment early on, and it inspired this poem. So here it is. I kissed you today. Today I kissed your face, amazed to find us in this place, this warm and tender embrace. For so many years I raced away, strayed, I chased every other form of mother. I never imagined it would happen this way today, that I'd be in a heap weeping in your arms, through all of history's harms between us, that I'd find you here seems so mysterious. Years of absence, distance, and coldness left me furious, curious like that little bird asking, "Are you my mother?" To find a trace of this embrace we shared today. I went my own way, strong and seemingly unharmed, hid my grief so well, had very few alarmed, that this was a big little girl going down. And this is where you found me today, just this way. You've grown stronger, taken longer than some, and I'm growing fonder of you now than all the watered versions of my mother. No longer repelled, I smell your hair, feel your soft skin and firm hold like gold. This hasn't been easy, this portrait of you and me, but I can see its beauty, the glory woven throughout our story. This was the first time in 37 years I've kissed you and let you into my deepest pain. But you've earned your place here. So let's do it again. So thank you for stepping into that intimate moment with me. Sometimes I share intimate moments and sometimes I don't. And I just think this is a beautiful one to share. I want to share it because I believe there's hope. I believe there's hope for healing. I believe that we can lean in and do our really hard work as individuals. And as we do our hard, painful work as individuals, it begins to change the relationships that we have. It changes group energy, it changes atmosphere, it changes so much. I have seen it happen in me, in my friends. I have seen how people leaning into their past stories and healing and learning and growing and being curious has changed them and their surrounding environments and relationships and communities. I believe there is so much hope. We have hard work to do. And the more of us that are doing our hard work, and if that's you, I salute you and I thank you. The more we do our own very, very, very hard work, the better this is going to be for our families, our friends, communities, and for the greater humanity. And yeah, so I just thank you for listening. Please share this with anybody who needs to hear it. And I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.